All right, welcome back. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you had a wonderful time of year to celebrate family and fun times, and of course that 4-day weekend if you're in the United States. If not, it's probably just another week for you, and you're probably like, "What happened last week? Why didn't he post a video?" Well, it was Thanksgiving week, big time of big holiday here in the United States where we get a 4-day weekend. We pretty much take the entire week off. And so I did too. I still had to do some work. I still had to do some work for my real job, but that's okay. All right, let's get into it. Network Plus practice exam number 22. Number 22. Let's see if we can't stump you today. Fairly easy this week. Fairly easy this week. Let's jump right into it, shall we? All righty. Question number 1. Which of the following best describes unicast communication? Unicast communication. Who remembers what unicast is? I tried to do more questions related this week to actual exams, right? Not as hard questions this week, but questions that you might see on the exam. I really tried to go through and ask questions that we hadn't asked before. That was the goal this week. I don't think we're going to take very long this week. I think I got 5 semi-easy questions for our viewers. I had some students reach out to me and ask me, "Hey, could you ask questions about these specific topics?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can." All right, shall we answer this one? Should we go for it? Which of the following best describes unicast communication? Let's start with D. Data is sent using unknown destination address. No, that would just be an unknown destination address. I don't think you can sit using unknown destination. I don't think you could do that. I don't think that's possible. Maybe where we don't pick it up, but I don't know. That's a difficult one. Unknown destination address. I could see a lot of technologies that could seem or appear to use that, but I don't think that would be part of unicast. Definitely not part of unicast. C, data is sent to multiple devices simultaneously. That would be broadcast. That would not be unicast. So kind of give you a hint on that one. B, data is sent to a specific device identified by its IP address. Maybe on that one. And then A, data is sent to all devices in the network. All devices on the network. I guess multiple devices simultaneously would not be broadcast. I stand corrected. That would be multicast. I apologize. Multicast. And I probably gave the answer away because A is obviously broadcast, which means B must then be unicast. Right? This is why it's so important. So important to read all the answers as we're going through the exam. Even I went through this and I was like, oh, multiple devices simultaneously, that's broadcast. Well, no, not really. That's multicast. Broadcast would be all devices on the network. And so it's important to read through those answers as you're going through your exam. I want to caution you from going so quickly. That's my caution. All right, question number 2. What is the primary advantage of implementing a DAAS in an enterprise environment? What is DAAS? Does anybody remember? Anybody remember what DAAS is? I know it's one of those somethings, right? I know I'm not giving it away. I'm trying not to give away the answers. When you look at this, it's so important on those acronyms. I firmly believe, and I've said this many times. You've probably heard this before, and I bet my bald head that if you understand the acronyms, if you can memorize the acronym list, right, that's 40% of your exam. It really is. I firmly stand by that. I firmly believe that if you can memorize the acronyms, 40% of your exam is passed. Why? Because the way CompTIA asks their questions, especially in these lower tier certification exams, A+, Security+, Network+, they really ask them, and as long as you know what the acronym is, it pretty much gives you the answer. But if you don't know the acronym, it gets a little bit difficult. All right, let's answer this one. What is the primary advantage of implementing DAAS in an enterprise environment? Desktop as a service, if you need that. Let's start with D. Requires all devices to remain connected to the local network for operation. No, that is not a requirement or an advantage. I would even say that's not an advantage. I would say that's actually a disadvantage. DAAS does require the desktop because it is a cloud environment to remain connected to the internet. So if you don't have access to that, then it's going to disappear on you. C, enhances peer-to-peer communication between endpoints. No, not really something desktop as a service does. That leaves A and B. I'll give you about 5 seconds to take another guess at this one. What do you think between A and B? Well, if you said provides an on-premise solution for centralized data storage, I would tell you you're incorrect because the entire process, or the entire thought process between desktop as a service, is that I can utilize it in the cloud. And so we don't want it on-prem. We want it anywhere ever, right? And so that means B offers virtual desktop hosted in the cloud, reducing hardware maintenance. That would be our answer. B would be the correct answer on this one. There we go. All right, question number 3. If a company wants to determine the reliability of a network component, which metric should be used? Oh, yeah, we've got those acronyms on this one. We do. What do you think? What do you think on this one? If a company wants to determine the reliability of a network component, which metric should be used? Which metric should be utilized? We got to know those acronyms. Got to know those acronyms. Got it. I feel like this one's easy, so we're gonna. Well, I mean not easy, but I feel like if you know it, you know it. Let's do this one. Let's go ahead and get started. Right. Pause the video if you need more time. If a company wants to determine the reliability of a network component, which metric should be used? What about SLA? What about SLA? Right. I think we know that that's a service level agreement. Not going to be what we're looking for here, I think. Then we have MTTR, mean time to repair. Mean time to repair. Not going to be what we're looking for here. That means it's either MTBF or RTO. Which one do you want? I'll give you about 5 seconds if you got A or B. Take a second guess at it. All right, if you said RTO, recovery time objective, you would be incorrect. It is mean time between failures. MTBF, mean time between failures. It's going to be our correct answer on that one. I know. It's going to measure how often the failures come into place. And so if we understand the failures between the two from one failure over to the next, then we understand, hey, this is how reliable our network is. That means MTBF is going to be our correct answer. There we go. All right, question number 4. Which of the following is a potential consequence of MAC spoofing? Which one of the following is a potential consequence of a MAC spoofing attack? What do you think on this one? MAC spoofing, of course, being that MAC address. You would know that, though. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Hopefully I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So what is a consequence of a MAC spoofing attack? What do you think on this one? All right, let's answer this one. Let's try and get these knocked out. Let's start with A. Interruption of encrypted VPN traffic. No. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, B. Corruption of DNS records within a file zone. Well, no, that would be something else. That's definitely not DNS records within a file zone. Definitely not that corruption. MAC has nothing to do with DNS, actually. C, overloading the DHCP server with the address request. Or D, unauthorized access to a network by bypassing MAC filtering. What do you think on this one? It's either going to be C or D. I'll give you about 5 seconds to take a final guess on this one. What do you think? Well, if you said D, unauthorized access to a network by bypassing MAC-based filtering, I have bad news for you. You don't have to study. You know the answer. You know the answer. It's going to be D. D is going to be correct. So why not overloading the DHCP server with address request? Well, that would be a attack, right? That would be a DOS. That would be a type of attack where we're going, hey, through... we could also do ARP spoofing, I think, would do that as well. We could hit it that way. There's a lot of different attacks that we could do through overloading the DHCP server with address requests. I think ARP would be the most relative one. I know a denial of service attack would be one as well, if we did it from inside of our network. But there's several attacks that come into play with that. But D is definitely going to be on MAC spoofing. There we go. All right, question number 5. A user reports they cannot access a specific website by its domain name, but accessing it via IP address works. What's most likely the cause? What's most likely the cause when I can hit it via an IP address, but not through its name? Not through its name. Do we know that answer? Now, I want to point out that if you're going through these questions and you're like, I have no clue. Remember, take a guess. Don't leave it blank. Take a guess. Okay? The reason I say that is you got a 25% chance if you guess. You got a 0% chance if you don't. If you can eliminate even one answer, you have a 33% chance. If you eliminate 2 answers, you got 50%. We're playing the numbers. That's what we're doing. Playing the numbers on this one. Never leave a question unanswered. Never, ever, ever, if you can possibly do it, right? And I also want to point out, you got about 30 to 45 seconds. I got to tell you, maximum 90 questions, 90 minutes to answer all the questions. I barely had enough time. Last time I took the Network Plus exam, I barely had enough time to do all the questions. Because those PBQs, man, I ended up with 5 PBQs. Never had that many PBQs, ever. And 5 PBQs, that's 5 minutes minimum per, at least for me. And that means 25 minutes, so for 5 questions. So we want to do the multiple choice as well first. All right, let's start with D, a misconfigured VPN client. No, VPN has nothing to do with understanding the difference between IP address and domain names, right? It's not going to be there. C, an incorrect routing table entry, possibly. Possibly. C is a possible. B, a failed MAC address resolution. No, that has nothing to do with domain names. And then A, a corrupted DNS cache on the user's machine. It could be A or C. Which one do you think? An incorrect routing table or corrupted DNS cache on the user's machine? I can think of one that's even better, but it's not on here. We have to answer the question based on the question or the answers that we have access to. All right, so what do you think on this one? If you said A, you'd be correct. Why is it an incorrect routing table? Well, we're talking about the domain name to the IP address. Very rarely do we utilize a routing table entry to gain access into a specific domain name. As a matter of fact, we don't even care about the domain names in a routing table. That's usually not part of the routing table. It takes the MAC address, and then it takes the IP address, and it kind of simulates between the two, and it knows what's according to what. There's no DNS in there. DNS, domain name system, associated with it. What would be the better answer? Well, the better answer would be that you have a DNS spoofing attack, or you have some other type of DNS. Not everything is cyber. Not everything is cyber. Be careful about that. Not everything is an attack. But our answer on this one's going to be A. I hope you found today helpful. I hope that you found it educational. Until next time, I'm Dr. K. See you again.